What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Make your next thing a big one. All right, speaking of entertained, today on the program, Pandora and Her Box. Who's Pandora and Her Box? What is Pandora and Her Box? Well, I know you know the story of Pandora's box, but you're going to find out more in the next few minutes, so stick around for that. This week's shows, I will be at the Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill on Thursday night. That's in Morrilton, Arkansas, for the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Now, we started that show last Thursday. They gave me a little tryout. They said, this karaoke thing, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. It was incredible last Thursday. So many people showed up. Having food, having some drinks, having some fun, and singing some songs on stage with little old me. Yeah, it was a good time. The Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill. And the place lives up to its name. There's a lot of cedar. It smells real nice, and it's a nice... The staff is great. I mean, they were running around like crazy trying to make sure that everybody had their drinky drinks and their good food. So, yeah, good time over at the Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill, and that's Thursday night from 6 to 10. I think they're going to do it every Thursday night. He came, Don, the owner, came to me at the end of the night. And he says, looks like they're having a good time. Yeah, let's do this every Thursday. Okay, happy to do it. So I'll be back there Thursday night from 6 to 10, Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill. Be there. Friday night, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. My usual Friday night gig. I guess I've been there on and off for the last 8-10 years, even before it was the Rab. I think it was I don't think, but I know it was the Conway Supper Club before that, right up on the hill on 65 in Conway, Arkansas. The place to be. They changed the name to the Rab because it's a dry county, and if you look at it in the rearview mirror, it says bar. So they got away with it. That's very smart thinking, I'll tell you. Those people at the Rab, those owners, that staff is just, they're on their toes. They got a full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables. In fact, they have a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money on a Friday night playing pool, you can join the pool tournament while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me. Yeah, Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Now, at both of these venues, since they are public, we're trying to keep each other safe during this coronavirus COVID thing. So wear a mask while you're walking around. But while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks, you could pull the mask down. How about that? So you can get at your eating hole, your drinking hole, the mouth area. Yeah. And then on Saturday night, I have a wedding, private party. So unless you're invited, you cannot come. I'm sorry. I like that weddings are coming back. Love weddings. Love being a part of people's days and being part of their celebrations. So thank you so much to the people that are booking weddings, and not just almost every weekend till the end of the year and even into next year. Like half of next year is getting booked up too. So I'm excited, man. The weddings are coming back. Yes, this coronavirus is not going to beat us. Not going to beat us. Come on, scientists. Get this coronavirus under control. Take care of this. Come on, you smart people. All right, speaking of smart people, let's get into it with Pandora and Her Box. Now, I got them on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version of this only, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/KeysDan, or just look up Keys Dan on YouTube, and you see the Radio What logo on there. You'll find it. It's there. Pandora and Her Box. All right, let's Skype Pandora and Her Box now.
Do you see me now?
I do. It's going to flip back and forth. That will work just fine. Yes, I got fine. Pandora and Her Box, or at least many of the parts of Pandora and Her Box. So, in the words of, I don't remember the character's name in Seven, but Brad Pitt said, "What's in the box? What's in the box?" If you'll tell the people, give the people a little idea. Since Jessica Pandora, the name is kind of bearing to you. You're the front person, which means you have to bear the brunt and get the most of the reaction from the crowds. The adoring fans will look to you because you're the front person. Not that the other people are not a part of it, but Jessica.
I feel so sorry for them. I mean, that's why we brought Salem in, because Salem's at least decent to look at. So I mean,
you brought me in because you were desperate.
Okay, all right. There's got to be a story there, and we've got time to tell stories. I want to hear all the stories. Tell me everything. First of all, do you see me on the feed now, or am I still in a figment? All right, I guess that you'll see it when it comes out. But there's an audio version of the What Makes You Famous podcast. There's a video version. So if you're just listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page. But notwithstanding, all right, what I was trying to get at was the Wikipedia page for for Pandora and Her Box. If you look at the top two paragraphs, the blurb on the top, Jessica Pandora, what would that blurb say? Tell me about Pandora and Her Box, the overview.
Mothers, watch your kids very carefully around us, because we're bad influence. Just kidding. No, I don't know what it would read, but it probably would have something to do with trouble.
Well, I mean, like, I guess, because y'all met first, right?
Me and Salem?
Yes.
Yes. She's the original singer, and then she just came back to us because we love her to death. And I was desperate. Yeah. See, she's just nodding her head there.
Well, I'm looking on the about part of your Facebook page, and there was a kind of an exclamation for the top person for vocals, and I'm guessing that's the part where Salem would fill that spot. But her name was represented with many different, like in the Flintstones. If you looked at the bubble, there would be rhythm, frasm, garble, rhythm. It would be a bunch of little of symbols rather than a name.
Yeah.
Why is that representing you? Is that Salem representing you?
That is Salem, and what it is that when we went to announce her, we were kind of building up to it, and we didn't want to put her name in the description yet, so we just gave it a weird little thing. And then we announced it, and then I do what I do best, and I forgot to update the About Us section.
Perfect. So it is human error, and we are human, and we make mistakes and all that kind of thing. Not that it was a mistake; it's kind of a happy mistake because it gives us something to talk about. It's a talking point. Yeah. It's a point of conversation. So Salem, your name is not that little group of symbols. Tell me what a Salem is.
So Salem Priest actually originates from Salem, Massachusetts, during the witch trials back in the 1600s. I'm a huge fan of the Crucible, everything like that, and I wanted to incorporate that into my image and my stage presence. So that's how I came up with Salem Priest. It's also kind of like a spin-off of Judas Priest, who I am just a huge fan of.
I can dig it. But do you practice Wiccan? Do you follow that a little bit? Are you interested in it?
I do, actually.
See, I've had friends who were Wiccans in the past, and man, I'm so interested in that. All right, somebody would say, "Oh, you're a witch. Do you do witchcraft? Are you into that kind of?" No, there's more to it than that. There are some thoughts, like in any religion, a prayer you could think of as a spell of some kind, a wish of some kind. Ooh, I wish that this would happen. But
it's more than just magic and Harry Potter, yeah.
Yeah, well, tell me, as a practicing Wiccan, I mean, what is the overview on that? You don't have to to go into it too much, but hey, man, I'm here to learn from you, Salem Priest. We all know that you're a rockin' band. That's the easiest thing. Pandora and Her Box.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go to Pandora and Her Box, find it everywhere. There's music. It's rockin' music. I was listening to it today. My face, I'm sorry that you can't see it right now, but you will be able to see it when the video comes out in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But my face nearly melted off listening to Pandora and her box today.
Nice.
But tell me an overview of Wiccan and your thoughts on practicing Wiccanry.
So practicing Wiccan, I kind of got into it more in the later years of my life. I converted out of Catholicism into it, and it just brings me more in tune with myself, more in tune with Mother Nature, more in tune with my own mental state. When I was getting into it, I was in a pretty dark place in my life, and I attributed that shift in energy into just like a change into my life. And I actually attributed a lot of that shifting energy into the lyrics that I write, and I still do. So the conversion to Wiccan really helped me out of a negative place. So did the music that we're writing. Being the original singer 2 years ago did help me through that, and being able to come back and re-enjoy the band that I just loved so much. I loved traveling with, I loved playing with, and being able to write new music with them is just really heightening the entire experience.
Well, okay, I'm coming out of Catholic myself. I went to Catholic school in Miami my first 6 years of school, and I remember there was a lot of mystery. Every time I asked the priest a question, oh, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. There were no answers. I feel like there's no answers. I need some answers. But I'm glad that you found a path, a way. People need something to believe in, and to make them feel better. And if that is the path that you choose, and it chooses you, maybe it would be better put. It's something that is on. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you're mostly helping people. You're trying to help people out, help yourself get through a difficult time that you were talking about. And you said that you were the original singer 2 years ago. Tell me about Pandora and Her Box. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Blondie on this one because I haven't heard him speak too much yet. Tyler, you also share another Brad Pitt character. Tyler Durden. So I don't even know if you've even seen the Fight Club. You're not even supposed to talk about Fight Club.
I have a Fight Club poster in my room.
Why wouldn't you, Tyler? Every character named Tyler ever made should be help to represent you. So tell me something about you, Tyler. Tell me what's going on in your world and how you came to be a part of Pandora and Her Box.
Well, I am excited.
They sent me the address. I just kind of drove over here.
From Texas.
Yeah, from Texas.
Wait a minute. I think you're in what, North Florida somewhere? Whereabouts are you right now?
Jacksonville.
Okay. Yeah.
Me and Robert Chris are in Jacksonville, and Salem is in Fort Lauderdale, and we're from all over the place. I'm originally from Jersey. He's from Oklahoma.
Originally Oklahoma. I consider Houston to be my hometown, but that's kind of where I came from before I joined the box. So I'm calling it that.
All right, Salem Priest, you're closest to my heart. You're making me more homesick than anything else. I was born in Miami, raised in Fort Lauderdale. I went to Western High School, Western Wildcats, Davie, Florida. Did you go to school in?
I was a Fort Lauderdale Flying L.
No kidding. Okay, I get it. I think we might have played you in football. I didn't play football. I was a swimmer in school and a dancer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Decca.
I played volleyball. We played Western plenty of times.
Oh, okay. Probably wiped the floor with us, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. We weren't really good in sports. I think I was in the second class that went through all 4 years. Class of '86, class of '85, where my best friend was. He was the first graduating class that went all 4 years in that brand new school, Western High School back then. But I'm aging myself. We're going through eating some of the same dirt But how are you in Fort Lauderdale and the rest of the band is in Jacksonville? How did that happen?
So I used to live in Jacksonville. I went to the college, the University of North Florida, when I was living up there, and I met Jessica while I was actually practicing for a different band, and she was brought on to originally be the bass guitarist, which I still find so funny to this day. So
How
she
so?
met me
Wait,
there.
back
She
up.
kinda
How
came-
so? How do you find that funny?
This is a whole story in its own.
Please.
Okay, so I was originally with a previous band, and it was just me and a singular guitarist, and we were looking for a drummer and a bassist, and the guitarist put out an ad on Craigslist, I think, and Jess connected with the guitarist, and Jess said, "Listen, I'm trying to do my own project. Let's see if you and me can kind of meet in the middle." So we all came to a practice, and we played once, and it was absolutely disastrous. Like, it was a total disaster. And so Jess kind of pulled me aside after the practice, and she's like, "I'm doing my own project, and you're a really great vocalist, so I kind of want to steal you from this." And I was already kind of getting bad vibes from that last project, so I was like, "Okay, let's do this." And I came over to her house like a day or two later, and we sat down and we wrote an entire song in about 2 hours.
Yeah, it was something else. And that song, we never seemed to play live, but eventually it will be. That was the cat.
I was wondering.
The cat. It'll probably make its appearance, I'm
You'll
sure.
see him right here.
Yes.
Hey, the more the merrier.
So-
All right, Jessica Pandora. The band has some of your last name as we've alluded to. How did the band form? Let's go there. Let's get the where did the band form? How did the band form? And what is this band all about? Jessica Pandora and Her Box.
Okay, well, I guess the best way to put it is I was not always Jessica. And so when I kind of had to come out to my work colleagues, all my friends and my family, said, what better way to do it than come out with a band that crushes the stigma of what I was coming out as. So I came up with the name Pandora Her Box. It was like, Pandora opening the box, and I had no idea what was going to come out of it when I did. And I would also wear a mask, which I don't wear anymore, but it does show up on stage. It's that one right there. And, and I made sure that whenever we played a show, it would come off during the show to show other people that, they don't have to hide behind a mask. And they could take off their mask and, live a good life, even with the stigma that's out there. But that was a really big purpose of the band, was to crush stigma.
Well, Jessica, before you go into how your life changed and what was that change, what kind of mask was that for the people that are listening to the audio version of this? What kind of mask is that?
I call it the mask of stigma, but it is kind of like a sugar skull mask with, it's really pretty. It's got black roses on it, and it has a bunch of little gears, steampunk style gears all over its head. And I had to drill a hole through its mouth so I can breathe on stage. I learned that the hard way.
It'd be nice.
Well, okay, something that I would probably see on a Mardi Gras float or like a Festival of the Dead or something like that. That kind of a mask.
See it there. It's not a very happy looking skull. It's very dark.
Very spooky.
It's spooky.
Do you think that represents you and how you came? I came through, I guess, a big change. Well, for people that aren't watching the video version, you have a certain look about you. People can't pinpoint it right away. I think that's a good part of a persona for a front person in a band. But
we consider. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No
We
problem.
consider Salem the front person.
Oh, okay.
Regardless. She really is the front person, even though like my name is in it. It's kind of like, and let's just Eddie Van Halen. David Lee Roth was the front, and but he had Van Halen was the name of the band. So it's kind of like that. Salem is definitely our front person.
Well, I appreciate the correction. I appreciate that so much and so timely. Yes, Eddie Van Halen just passed away yesterday. 65 years old. Cancer sucks.
Cancer sucks.
No more.
Yeah.
I'm four square against it.
That part, but
A few of them.
quite
Yeah.
a few.
So, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Stand corrected. Salem Priest would be the front person, the one that everybody's looking to, the center of attention. When you're on stage, how do you draw in that crowd? Do you work the crowd? Do you get out in there with your microphone? Is that you making those vocals that are, really guttural voice vocals? Is that you?
Yeah, it is me. I've been working on it for about 2 years now. I've actually taken a lot of notes off of Native American throat singing because it's the best way to get more of that deeper sound and a lot of projection out of it without hurting your throat. So I have been basing it off of Native American throat singing, which I think is an incredible art form. But yeah, what I really do before shows is I kind of like hype myself up on the energy that my bandmates are giving me. And then during a show, I like to feed off of the energy of the crowd. I like to keep people engaged. If the opportunity's there, I will start a mosh pit. And more than likely, I would be reckless enough to jump in it myself because I'm a very troublesome person. But, I really enjoy just feeling the crowd's momentum and being able to replicate that. And I just love high energy shows. It's just a lot of fun for me. So,
well, have you been able to interact with any of the Native Americans that are there in town? Because I know when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, I'd go to the Hard Rock, and I DJ'd quite a few shows over at the Hard Rock Cafe. I remember one New Year's Eve. It must have been, I don't know, maybe 2004 or something like that. And I was really just partying with the Indians, with the Seminoles. Those guys can party. At least this group that I was with, for sure. But have you been able to interact one-on-one with them, or is this something that you're learning on YouTube, or something that you've learned in school at the University of North Florida?
Partially learning it online through different tribes all across the Americas, but also one of my dad's best friends is actually the son of a chief down here for the Seminole tribe. So I've been able to speak with him and just try to get some more information about the tribe. And honestly, I want to learn as much as I possibly can. I think Native Americans are extremely misrepresented in a lot of media. And there is a pretty good amount of them that are very misrepresented in the rock community. So I definitely want to shine more light on smaller minority groups, especially in the metal scene, because they have a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and they bring a lot of ethnicity and culture into it. And I think that's really important.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. Wherever a creative person can get their inspiration, I'm all for it. The Sting, had many albums that were, and Paul Simon, went to Africa and got these, wherever these people can collaborate and find inspiration and find different sounds that, don't get stuck in a box, get out of the box.
Yeah.
For sure.
You got to open the box.
Absolutely.
The band name right there. Thank you.
Yeah, and that is actually absolutely, from what I'm getting, that is what I'm. You're not limiting yourself to one type of music. Yes, you're primarily in the rock genre, very punk, very hardcore. Faces will be melted off, but I suspect, and you've been around for a couple of years now. I'm guessing because you talk about 2018 as kind of a starting point in school.
Yeah.
Okay. And since then, have you seen your music grow from its beginnings? Are you playing music better than you were back then? Are you jiving better?
Absolutely. I think the evolution from back in 2018 till now has been extraordinary. Both on the music front, the lyric front, the stage presence front. Like, we've definitely evolved a lot as a band. Obviously, with evolution, there did come a couple of changes, but our who we have now in the band with myself, Jess, Tyler, and Chris, I think we have done some pretty incredible things with our music. One of the more significant things is that we are actually bringing back 2 songs from our original set list at Blue Ridge Rockville in 2018, and those songs are Gone and Broken, and we revised them to fit what we are now playing. And just listening to them back then, listening to them now, it just got like 10 times heavier. It got 10 times more powerful, like in your face, melt your face off kind of music. So there's definitely some things you guys should be looking out for coming up soon.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of listening to the way it was back then. Was it more of a ballad, and how was that written? And Tyler, I haven't heard from you too much. Are you a part of the writing process, or are you what is your function in the band beyond bass guitar? Do you make the bass?
Before he speaks, this is a typical out of the box moment. I have to pee, so you're going to get him.
I'll probably have to go shortly, but
All right then. All right. So it's the whole focus is on Tyler Blondie. Right. Go.
I guess I wasn't really around back in 2018, at least not with this band. So I wasn't really there when we were writing Gone and Broken. With the way we write songs now, I mean, we really just kind of bust them out. We try to meet up at least twice a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, stuff happens. But a lot of times what will happen is if I'll be working that day. And the reason why Chris isn't here is because Chris is working now. So
sad news.
But hey, we love him. And but usually I'm the one, like, I'll be working and I'll come home. And Jess and Chris are there, and a few days ago, was that yesterday? Was that yesterday?
Yesterday. Yesterday you guys wrote the new song.
Yeah, I come home and it's like, oh, we have 2 new songs. And I'm like, cool. And so that's happened a few times. I've written a few songs with them. I usually insert a few riffs here and there. That's kind of my specialty. I come up with something and I'm like, hey, why don't we just put that here? But I mean, we can put out songs
like crazy.
Oh yeah, we already. I think we've only been together as a band for maybe like 2-3 months. Like the 4 of us have been together, and we've already written and finished 9 songs. Jess and I counted.
That's fantastic. That's very prolific. And how are you getting these songs laid down? Do you have a home studio, or are you getting together in another studio, or because you're so far apart from each other, are you recording your own different pieces in different areas and getting them put together in another area altogether? How are these songs getting put together?
Well, kind of how it works. Most of the time, like, we have 2 places we work out of directly here in Jacksonville. One is my place, and we have my little tiny studio called the Jess Cave. And then we practice mostly at Chris's house.
Which is also my house.
Which is also his house, yeah. They live together.
It's not what I think. They're just good friends, or what?
They live together.
Hey man, $20.
2 different rooms. 2 different rooms.
Let's see what a couple of tequilas does.
Anyway. Yeah, so it's whenever any of us get together, we just start throwing things in, and I gotta really hand it to Chris. Chris comes up with so many ideas. He has so much energy that, I mean, he's a drummer. I'll show up at his house. He'll be on the front porch. He'll have the guitar in him, and he's like, I want to play you something. And he'll play it, and I'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. I love it. And, so he'll show it to me how to play it, and then I'll kind of make it my own. Then he puts drums on, and then he takes over on bass, and it just all comes together. We record it. We send a terrible recording to Salem, and Salem puts incredible words to a terrible recording.
But how does the song get finished? Who's mastering this? Do you have somebody impartial? As I know bands, a lot of times if they get together, whoever is doing the mix down, that's the sound you're going to hear. If the bassist does the mix down, a lot of times, what are you going to hear? At the front of the song, the bass. I've had that happen before, and I've talked to other bands before. But who's mixing this all down for you?
I do most of the recording. We do have a producer we will be working with who will be doing mastering. And that is somebody Salem starts with, a gentleman named True. And, but he hasn't got his hands on the recordings yet. The recording I sent you is actually unmastered. It's not even ready yet, but I mean, we don't mind if you're putting a sample out there for sure and letting your viewers and your listeners hear it. So, but it hasn't been mastered yet. But that was all done, recorded here at the Jess Cave. So,
well, with the kind of music that you're making, maybe the rawness will have a flavor on its own. But I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't send. I haven't had the pleasure of listening to it yet. You just sent it to me today. But you wouldn't send anything out that you wouldn't want to listen to yourself, I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't. If I didn't like it, it isn't going out. As a matter of fact, I can be kind of a pain in the ass about that, as some people could probably agree with.
Well, good. It would reflect in your music. Some people think that perfectionism is a bad thing. It can be good. You come out with something. Although perfectionism could be, could delay your the outcome of your music for indefinitely. It's nothing is perfect, and we've already mentioned that in the beginning of this podcast. Nothing is perfect. Humans are not perfect, but the rawness that you sent to me, and I'm sure I'll play it on my RadioWhat.com internet radio station. At least we'll be able to get it out there, and I'll tweet it out, and you'll have something to tweet and retweet and show that people are listening to Pandora and Her Box. So I mean, I'm okay, and I'm kind of interested in the beginnings of all of you, the three of you, and I want the person also who knows Chris the best to talk about him as well and give a little overview of how him and his drums came about. So who was in the first part of the band? Was it originally Jessica and Salem back in 2018? And were there any other members in the band back then?
There were members back then. It started off with me and Salem. We were the very first two. And then we had three other members actually at that point we brought in. We're not going to bring up names of anybody, but one of them actually passed away right after our concert in Virginia, and and that kind of threw the band into a spiral, and it reformed again, and then fell apart again, and then finally I threw up my hat and said, Salem, come back, please come back.
Yeah. She begged me. She begged me on a very long
I was on my hands and knees begging. So.
Well, I can appreciate that, once a member passes from the band, it's hard to recover from that. I mean, there's been plenty of super groups that have lost members and then have such trouble recovering. I can't imagine that Van Halen is ever going to perform again. Just.
Oh
yeah. But by the same token, Queen is performing, constantly, and they've had several frontmen after the great Freddie Mercury passed away. But my goodness, it can come back, but it's hard to come back. And I'm glad that you did. Oh, yeah. You found a way to keep the dream alive, I guess. Are there any of the songs that? Go ahead.
When I die, say it like I'm going to be the next if they don't kill me. When I go, I want them to keep going. So now it's on record.
Okay, I'll remember that, Jess. I was going to honor you and just call it quits, but now I got to find a replacement.
Oh my goodness. Maybe in what is it, in the Philippines? Like they found, I know that Steve Perry didn't die, but he lost his vocal cords, but then they found Arnel Pineda over in the Philippines, and he sounds spot on like Steve Perry, and what a wild ride that had to be. And wasn't there? There's a hard rock band that the was it Judas Priest? No, that the lead singer just gave up. I think Rockstar, the one with Marky Mark, he was his story. That story in there where the lead singer just gave up being a lead singer, and Marky Mark jumped up in there. Wasn't that based on a true story? You remember that?
That's based on Priest.
It is Judas Priest, right? And I know Salem Priest. You said your name came from there. Well, didn't he?
Yep.
Didn't he completely step down, and then a fan kind of jumped in? Well, do you know that story?
I kind of know it. I know that he did step down. A fan came up, and they sounded almost identical, and so they're like, we have to. So let it be on record. If there's a fan out there who sounds identical to me, if my voice ever gives out, then I will be happy to bring you on as my apprentice.
Oh my goodness! I think this podcast took a weird turn, man. All the members are stepping down and wanting replacements. Tyler, are you leaving? Are you? Yeah, no, you're staying put, right?
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
It's a long walk back to Texas.
Yeah,
you better believe it, man. Okay, I know we kind of alluded to that. You said that you called. Were you actually going to school there, or did you said Jessica called you, Tyler, in Texas, and then you just drove over to be a part of the band?
It's just the bridge story. At the time, I mean, growing up in Houston, I was part of the local Houston scene, and I was in a lot of metal bands. I played guitar is actually my main instrument. It hasn't been since I've been in PaHBox, but I also played in bass. So I played bass in my first few bands because there were so many guitarists. But I knew that I knew somebody who was affiliated with PaHBox, and we played in a bunch of bands back in Houston because he was from Jacksonville. And the day of graduation in Texas, I just moved back to Jacksonville. And he told me that there was a bass spot open for this band in Jacksonville. Stuff wasn't going too hot for me in Houston. I was working as a manager at an IHOP, and COVID hit, kind of shut it down. And I had always just wanted to make a career out of music, and I wasn't working. I didn't want to work at IHOP forever, anyways. And I guess that's all. That's all it took. It was like, hey man, I want you to be in this band. Would you be willing to come over to Jacksonville for it? And I was like, yeah, sure. More or less, this pretty much happened. And I went back to May, or was it April?
Something like that.
It was earlier this year. So, been with the band.
It was around the same time that I was brought back.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe a month or two early.
So then that would have been like March or February
of this year.
Yeah.
This year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was shortly after we signed up with 434 Management.
I was there the day it happened. That was my first day. I walked in and y'all were signing the papers.
Oh shoot!
Well, I mean, you mentioned the fine people at IHOP. Great food at a fine price. So thank you to the people at IHOP for giving you a job, some kind of a steady income. People that have the Joe jobs, the day jobs. I have a steady job. I call it my insurance job, and it keeps me going. So I have the wherewithal and the ability to do the jobs that I really enjoy, the DJ jobs on the weekend, the podcasting, the talking to Pandora and Her Box. And you mentioned 434 Management. I had the pleasure of talking to Derek Pichon on the podcast. He's a fantastic dude and hardworking for his people. I appreciate following him around, and I mean he's always putting the people out there. What has 434 Management done for you?
Oh well, one, it gave us signing up with them. It gave us a new energy. It gave us a new determination and a new drive. And it's something that we desperately needed at that time. And that alone has taken us from one point to another just because of that. But because we brought in Salem and we had to kind of rewrite all of our music, it slowed things up for us quite a bit. and we're just starting to get ready to put everything out there. And so we're going to be seeing what 434's got in store for us, and we're very excited about it. And working with Derek and Paul, it's going to be great working.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm trying to figure, let the people know. I'm trying to pick your brains and on the difference between having a manager and having no management. Before that, you had to be your own agents, I guess, your own people that got your gigs. So in 2018, when it was since Salem, you could speak to this, and Jessica, you could speak to this. In 2018, when you're first putting the band together, were you playing in your garage, and how long did it take for you to feel that you can get on stage, and what kind of performances were you doing back then in the early days of Pandora and Her Box?
It was 8.5 months into Pandora and Her Box when we played our very first show, which was with some great bands in Virginia. We played with Lamb of God, Fuel. Oh God, who else did we play with? There was so many.
Light Divided, Dare Defy, GFM. I think Defy the Tyrant was there, if I remember correctly.
Defy the Tyrant was there. Was Cold there?
The Crowned. There's a whole bunch of great bands that played. Whitechapel was there. Yeah, that was our first official show. It took us about 8.5 months, and we were initially practicing out of the Jess Cave. We weren't recording anything at that time, and back then it was more melodic than it was rock. So it wasn't as like eye-catching as some of the other bands we were up against. But now we are seriously holding our own with what we have.
That's fantastic. Did you mention that Fuel was part of the lineup there?
Yes.
I was able to play with Fuel, or I worked with Fuel back in, I guess it was the mid 2000s, 2005 or something like that, at Homestead Miami Speedway. They had a little concert during the race. I guess between races there, and I remember I was working for Exito 105.5. My name's Daniel Keys, Dan from the Florida Keys, but they had a version of Daniel, and they dedicated it to me, that performance. I like Fuel. So, I mean, working with all these cool bands, that's pretty cool. I mean, how did you get on that stage? And that was something that you put together yourself all the way in Virginia from Jacksonville?
I could be pretty persistent when I set my mind to something. I was not going to not play that show.
Well, how did you get that gig? Did you have to write in? Did you have to petition to be a part of it? I know that people pay to play. Sometimes, it can be good for a band. Sometimes they'll, $2,000 and you can open up for Ozzy Osbourne, or something like that.
Because, I mean, it is for an unknown band, especially who has no recordings at all. We had to pay for that. And we had to pay for it again the year after, which was the show with Godsmack. But that one we had main stage, which was really cool.
Excellent.
But how we got that show was actually, there's this great kid, his name's Bert, and out of nowhere on Facebook, he sends me a message saying, "Hey, would you like to play Blue Ridge Rock Festival?" And I was like, one, I don't know who this kid is. And two, what's Blue Ridge Rock Festival? I didn't even know about that. And he gave me information on who to talk to and everything. This kid, he's fantastic. He runs an organization called Rock with Autism. He is an autistic kid, and he's absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, I'll be talking to him after this interview. I'll be FaceTime. So we've become very good friends. Great kid, but he's the one who actually connected us with Blue Ridge.
Oh my goodness! Good times for a good cause. Well, all right. I want Salem to talk because she has exposed the guns, and that way, when you start talking, your picture will come up on the screen. And that's some impressive ink you got there. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so here in South Florida, I go to a very specific tattoo shop known as Bad Fellow Tattoo. They're based here in Fort Lauderdale, and I know the artists really well. They're really good friends of mine. These pieces that I have right here are actually based off of an anime that I'm in love with. I'm a huge, huge anime nerd.
Which anime?
Is for all of you. Yeah, this is actually the main character, Kaneki Ken, from an anime called Tokyo Ghoul. And this says Unravel, it's a spider lily. And Unravel was the first theme song of the first season of the anime. And it's absolutely one of my favorite songs to listen to, one of my favorite songs to play and sing to. I love listening to it in the original Japanese and in English. It's such a great song. So I got it inked on me. These two pieces were done by a different artist known as Tailor Made. It's a raven skull, and on the back it's a rose. And then I have another piece also by this artist. His name is Xavier. It's Haku the dragon from Spirited Away. And then I have another piece which is on my thigh, and that's by Leif Olson, who is based in North Carolina. And it's like a massive skeleton resting in flowers.
It sounds like you have a story to tell all over your body. I've always wanted to have a yin yang in the middle of my back since I was 17 years old. You know how much ink I have? 0.0. I'm too chicken
Come
to
down
do
to
it.
Fort Lauderdale, I'll change that for you.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, put Tailor Made on the walking tour.
Got enough stuff, and I cannot show you my body modification.
Tell me more. Tell me everything, Jessica, about what you have done to modify your body. And I know the fans, the listeners are
It's the same reason I had to open a box, and the same reason why I still pee standing. And we're just going to leave it at that.
No, and I know the people are going to be interested in delving into your life story, the changes that you've made in your life. As much as you want to divulge about that, definitely. But before that, Tyler, you got any ink?
Not yet.
How old a man are you, Tyler? You seem like a young man.
All of us do except for him.
I am legal. I'm 23.
23. I mean, you seem like a good boy. He's the boy next door. But all right, you've already alluded to it, Tyler. You play guitar, and then I've heard of a lot of bass players that used to be guitar players that have settled for the bass. Do you feel like you've settled for the bass, or do you feel like you've really embraced it? Because there's lots of bass players out there that have become, icons. I mean, Flea comes to mind for sure, and Sting for sure. The bass players that just come to my head right now. But who do you look up to as a bass player? Do you feel like you've settled for it, or have you embraced it?
That's a good question, because a lot of bassists I know, actually, I think every bassist I know in person started off as a guitarist, but became a bassist. The reason why I became one was because I remember back in high school, we were trying to start a few bands, and we straight up just set a flyer up in the cafeteria, asking hey, you need band members. We got about 50 calls for guitarists, maybe one call for a bassist, and no drummer, no vocalist. And it kind of hit me right there. It's like everyone plays guitar, including me. I mean, I couldn't be mad at anyone because I was also a guitarist. So, and then there was also this girl at my school. She was like an indie pop musician. She asked me, "Hey, you play bass, right?" I was like, "Yeah, totally." And so I just went to the guitar shop, bass, and that's kind of how that started. That was my junior year of high school. But when you're talking about influences, I think I know Les Claypool of Primus was somebody that I looked up to, because a lot of bass in music, you can't hear the bass at all. You can't a lot of bassists don't really do a whole lot of stuff that's too interesting. That's not all bassists, but a lot of them, they kind of just play what the guitar plays. And as a bassist, that's not my job. I have a lot more to do than just that. And I always like the idea of maybe if I'm just too crazy on the bass, you can't help but hear me. You know what I mean? Cause I want you to hear me for every single note, and I will make myself be heard for every single note.
So what you're telling me is I should stop turning your volume down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the bass is important. Tell that to Sly and the Family Stone for sure. You listen to their music;
Exactly.
they're bass driven. Back in the '70s, I mean, if you didn't have a bottom, you had no song. You had the drummer that set that beat, boom, 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 and then you had that bass that set that rhythm, and the guitarist was there to add flavor, to add just to really sell the song, and a vocalist, just told a story for sure, but you had to start with that backbeat. I hope you know that one of the best acts that I ever saw was at an open mic in Tobacco Road in Miami, and it was a couple of Mexican guys, and there was one guy playing on a bucket and another guy playing a bass, and they had me mesmerized for about 15 minutes. And this is going on 20 years ago. They were so good, and I still talk about them because I remember seeing them at this open mic, and I guess that they were trying to call out more members. They were trying to start a band, but all they had was a drummer and a bass. So they were trying to find some new members, and that's how they were getting the word out. So yeah, a good bottom, And do you pluck or do you strum? Not being a musician of any kind, really. Do you pluck or do you strum on your bass?
Well, it's interesting because when I play guitar, I play with my fingers.
Nope.
Because when I used to play when I played with the pick growing up, I would always lose it. I would drop it in the couch, and I just didn't have it. So instead of going out and like waiting every week to go get a pick, I just started playing guitar with my fingers, and so it was really easy to transition to the bass because of that. So yeah, I don't play with the pick when I play with the bass. When I play the bass, sometimes I'll play like I'm like playing with a pick, kind of like I'll do a picking motion. But I am getting a lot better with using all of my fingers. But I there's still a lot to learn when it comes to me being what you're saying earlier. Have I settled with the bass? I mean, I'm not like I for now. I definitely have. I'm not going to be the dude that comes and says like, I want to play this instrument. I want to play that instrument. But the thing is, being a bassist is really fun. I think it's kind of a lost art because, like what you said earlier is right about that bottom end. I mean, that's my job, and I have a lot of fun supplying that. I still do play guitar. But I mean, they're two different worlds. They're not the same thing at all. And I think a lot of people need to kind of view them as two different things. I think a bassist and a guitarist would understand that. That's something I discovered because I thought it'd be really easy to transition over to bass. Mm-hmm. In a minimal way, it is. But if you want to be be a real bassist, not a real bassist, but if you really just want to learn how to be a bassist, there's a lot more that goes into it. And I'm still learning a lot every single time I practice. There's stuff I learn every single day, and I think that's a lot of fun.
Well, when you started playing bass, did you start on the electric bass, or did you have an upright? Have you ever played an upright bass, kind of like Sting has in some of his videos? Have you done that?
No, I've never done that. Maybe one day, but I do have a fretless bass, and that fretless bass, I think that's the one that appears on our recording for Our Father. Is that true? I know I play it live that way.
I think so.
Yeah. I believe you were using the fretless on Our Father.
Okay, because I have a few basses, and one of them is a fretless. And
what's the difference?
What's that?
What's the difference between a fret bass and a fretless bass? I know what a fret is, but what is it easier to get up and down the neck with a fret or without a fret? I know what a fret is. Mm-hmm.
You can almost hear the note change when you hit the fret. You hear that do-do-do-do-do?
Yeah.
On a fretless bass, there's no boundaries. Like it's like what that fret does, it kind of just holds the note in place. And so a fretless bass, when you slide up, it's just boom, like there's nothing hold. So a fretless bass is actually kind of tricky because you have to have your finger in the most precise spot, or else it'll be slightly off key.
Yeah.
With the guitar, you put your finger anywhere in the fret, and it's going to be the same note. With the bass, you can't do that, so you have to hit it. You have to, if you want to be a fretless bassist, and I'm not good at it. you have to have your finger land on the exact same spot every single time. And when you're playing fast and you're sliding up here, sliding back down here, it's real tricky, or else it'll sound out of key if you don't do it right.
Well, this is what I've gotten from trombone players.
Yeah, you have to have like a pretty good sense of like perfect pitch and able to do instruments like that.
Okay, for those that haven't noticed and haven't been watching the video, Salem Priest has made a slight change in her location now because Jessica and Tyler were talking. That your picture wasn't on there, but now you're in another location. What made you move to that location?
My phone's just dying. I needed to get to my charger.
I have to get to the charger. I have to go.
Get to the jumper.
Oh my goodness! I was waiting for the Schwarzenegger. He's perfect. He's perfect for that.
I do a horrible Schwarzenegger impression, but I love Schwarzenegger nonetheless.
Everybody does a Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's. And speaking of, you were talking about you lose guitar picks, Tyler. I noticed on the website for Pandora and Her Box, you got guitar picks for sale. Tell me about how did that happen?
I'm selling them. I won't be needing them. They're for you guys.
Well, yeah. Tell me about how the guitar picks became a part of your merch.
Oh, they're all the lost ones that we found. All the lost ones that Tyler lost. We found them and put them up for sale.
Thank you, by the way.
No,
but you glitched them up. You glammed them up a little bit. What are they made of?
They're actually just guitar picks we ordered from a company that put our logo on them, and we don't really sell them. We kind of just give them away. And so at our shows, like if you buy anything, you're getting a free guitar pick.
That's
you buy a shot glass, you're getting a guitar pick dropped right in it. We can't serve the liquor.
What a bonus! What a bonus! All right, well, Jessica, all right, tell your story. Divulge what you want to divulge of how you came to be Jessica. You said you weren't always Jessica.
Yeah, that's correct. I am transgender. Huh? You can probably tell from the voice for all of your audio people listening. It's not something I tried to disguise or anything.
Huh?
But I am transgender. It took me 40 years to make the decision to actually come out of fear of repercussion from anywhere from friends to family. Mm-hmm. And it was a very scary thing for me to do, but it's something I've known all my life. And when I decided to come out, fortunately, I got an incredible family. I got great friends, and I got a great cat.
A great cat, yeah.
Yeah. You want to pick it up and shout out?
Milo doesn't want that.
Yeah, Milo doesn't want to be picked up. Mm-hmm. And it's not named after Milo from the movie. It's named after Milo Ackerman of the Descendants.
Okay.
Punk rock band. But, and it's not Lemmy.
I'll still say that it's Lemmy.
It's not. She named it Lemmy. Anyway, so, I'm transgender. I actually only started transitioning about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So, and it's a long process. It's pretty much a lifelong process. But there's a lot of stigma I had to face, and it's stigma I didn't realize was out there until I started transitioning and how bad it is. And it's one of the reasons I put in such a fight against stigma, and I try to help people fight through it. And the same goes with mental health. There's a stigma behind it. Mm-hmm. There's people who don't go and seek help for things that are causing them pain in their life, because they're afraid of the repercussions of it or what somebody is going to think about it. And that's one of the big battles that I've decided to take on, is to beat stigma. But yeah, I'm transgender, male to female, and it's not something, I'm not very political. I don't talk politics. I don't talk religion. I am a religious person, but I don't talk it. I am political, but I don't talk it. But it's one of those things. My mission is to help people be open with who they are, and not have to live in fear of who they are.
Well, going through it for 3 years, it's been a long process for you. Have you had a lot of help, a lot of professional help, a lot of family help, a lot of friends help? Who has helped you along the way? And do you plan to go all the way and transition completely to female?
Well, I actually got married this year to a wonderful wife.
Yay, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. And so, yeah, the full transformation, well, other than being overly expensive, yeah, I'm not going to be making that move, but yes, I am on HRTs, hormones. It has drastically changed my weight distribution in my body. It's definitely starting to affect my face a lot, and it's definitely changed the top quite a bit. Much more than I expected it to, actually, which is good. But I don't plan on making the full change. Not that it's not something I don't want. I want to do it. It's just I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal decision to make that. So, I mean, there's some people in my community that actually say, well, you're not a full transgender if you don't. And it's not even like that. It's, I know how my brain operates. I know how I feel. I know who I am.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like I said, that's a stigma on its own. So,
no, you go where you're comfortable, Jessica Pandora. You go where you're comfortable, and you go as far as you want, or don't, or reverse, or go back, or go forward, or be fluid. But no, I'm kind of interested. I'm not in that world, so I want to learn about that world, and I'm sure a lot of my listeners are not in that world, and they'd like to learn. And well, you know, I have been feeling a little bit different, a little bit down about myself. Well, what can I do? Make a change.
It's a tricky little world. You know, the biggest stigmas on, you know, transgenders is things like, you know, a lot of people think it's like a fetish or something like that. And it's not. It's like you're born male, or you're born female, and like your brain isn't.
Yeah.
And it's really just not who you are. It's not that, you know, like you have cross-dressers who do it as a fetish, and it's not like that. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, if somebody's a cross-dresser, they're a cross-dresser. It doesn't really matter. People are going to be who they are.
Yeah.
But being transgender, a lot of people think it's more of a fetish, and it's not. It's really just who I am. And I fight for that. I fight to end the stigmas on it, but I'm also not terribly in anybody's face about it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No. Well, I mean, it's just it's your persona. It's definitely in your look. You know, the look that you've cultivated. You know, it's a part of you. It's a part of the band. It's a part of your creativeness. How has it affected the way that you write songs between then, before, and now? Do you feel different? Do you have a different vein of creativity now that you've gone through this process or going through it?
Very, very much. I find that I'm a lot more creative, more expressionate. So, you know, I don't hold back like I used to hold back. And, yeah, so it's definitely affected that, you know, just like it affects every part of my life, actually. You know, I had a really great career until COVID hit. And, you know, I don't have that anymore after being laid off. Well, trying to find a job when you're transgender is not an easy task, especially when you have so many people who are cisgendered that are acceptable for jobs. I mean, I went from driving professional sport teams to where I can't even get a job at a local supermarket or gas station.
Well, that's pretty weird. You know, in my humble opinion, that's kind of weird. It didn't change. You know, that the abilities that you have. It made you a better person because now you're more comfortable in your own skin. That's cool. I'm good with that. You know,
I dress like crazy or anything, and well, the hair's pink now, but usually it's.
Hey, if I can get away with it, I would. I got my normal brown hair. I think back in '87, I wanted to be Kiefer Sutherland from the Lost Boys, so I made my hair blonde.
I love Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, So I wore a trench coat and had blonde hair, blonde spiky hair for the whole year of 1987. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. I mean, you feel good in your skin. I'm sure Salem priest, you feel good in your tattoos. They help you express yourself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you pulled the sleeves up and I see the guns, I was like, oh, there's a whole story there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Low key brag. Low key brag. She flexed. I almost got knocked off the Skype. Oh no. So all right.
This was fun with this.
Yeah. Oh man. And I know I've taken some of your time. We're learning a little bit about Pandora and her box. I feel bad that Chris is not in the room. Chris had to work his Joe job. I call it I call my day job my insurance job. That's my insurance job. You know, the night
He's
job.
here with us in spirit.
Yeah.
Should we call him?
Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, if I can call him on my phone and actually pipe him in on the mixer. So yeah, if somebody will text me his number, I will.
Yeah, just
I will call him.
Shoot Chris a text and see if he can take a phone call.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have his voice on the podcast for a little bit. But while we're waiting on that, I haven't heard from Salem in a little bit. Tell me some interesting stories about you, front girl.
Oh goodness. So when I started this band in 2018, I was also coming out of the box myself, and excuse me. There I am. So I actually started by coming out as non-binary, which is under the transgender tree.
What is that? What is that?
So transgender and cisgender. Cisgender is that you are born to the gender that you were assigned at birth. Transgender is you were born under the wrong gender. Non-binary means that the way that my brain works is that I don't necessarily relate to either gender. I'm not entirely feminine nor masculine. I'm not entirely male nor female. So that is what non-binary is to me. And now, because it's such a broad term, just as transgenderism is, and gender itself is pretty broad, non-binaryism can mean different things to different people. But yeah, I was coming out with that myself. Back at that time, I was in a really dark place. Mentally, I suffer from depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. So I was going to a therapist at the time. And one of my biggest ways for me to communicate my feelings was actually through music and through lyric writing. And so whenever I found myself in a really dark place over whatever reason, I would usually go to the music that the rest of the band had given me prior, and I would write lyrics to it. And I still kind of use that's still the way that I process it. I'm currently going through a period of processing grief right now. And during this period, I was able to do another 2 songs, and it's the emotions that kind of carry me through the songwriting process.
What's so amazing that you can put your feelings to words and music. That's something that a creative person, a musician can do. I'm so jealous of that. I am so jealous. I have these feelings in my mind, in my body, and I guess I can put them out in word form. I've been talking into microphones at least since 86 professionally, 1986, way back in the 1900s, before you were born, probably. No, or most
definitely was before I was born. Yeah.
I can't believe that.
I think my mom was still in high school in 86.
Hey, class of 86 rules, baby. No, I'm interested. I'm not on that, in that world. I'm from South Florida, the Florida Keys. I've dealt with all kinds of different kinds of people. Key West is one of my favorite places to be. And I know that I've met people from all walks of life, but I haven't been in that world. So you're saying, man, I didn't even know cisgender. So you're teaching me new vocabulary words. Cisgender.
Yeah.
I was born a man. I'm probably going to die a man.
You're born a man and identify as a man.
I feel good as a man. Yeah. But you were born, I guess you were born well, were you born as a woman, or do you feel like you were born as something fluid, something different?
I was born as something more fluid.
Okay.
I'm not entirely male, not entirely female. So that's why I choose non-binaryism. And it was definitely the best way for me to communicate my gender expression. And the great thing about non-binaryism is that non-binary does not mean androgyny. It doesn't mean that I dress androgynous. It doesn't mean that I present myself androgynous. There's some days where I can present myself more masculine-like. There's some days that I can present myself more feminine-like, but I'm not entirely one or the other. It's definitely very fluid between the two.
Terribly interesting. And Tyler back there, I mean, I noticed when they started talking about this, you kind of sat back in your chair. Where do you find yourself on the spectrum? I don't want to use the wrong pronouns. What are your pronouns, Tyler? Blondie?
There's nothing there. I'm just in it for the ride.
Okay. Anyway, he's what is called a cisgender. He's his biological gender, and other misconception a lot of people have on transgenders. They think we don't understand what biological gender is. We know what that is more than they even realize, and it's when you're at odds with that.
Yeah, that's just silly. Have a conversation with somebody. Learn more about what they're thinking. I knew that that was gonna be a part of it, because I've seen you. I've talked to you briefly when we were setting up this podcast a few months ago, and I was like, man, this is going to be an interesting conversation. There's going to be a lot more than talking about music. That's cool. That's a whole. I mean, hey, we started out with Wiccanism. That was pretty cool too, man. There's parts of that I'm interested in. I'm interested in talking to people about various things. But yeah, if you want to text me Chris's number, I will call him straight away and put him right up on the board. No big deal. And then we'll talk to a drummer.
He says, "Nah, I'm about to lay down. I don't feel good."
Ah!
But that's a picture of him.
But that's our drummer.
Oh, we got a picture of him.
We love him. We love him to death.
Sure.
There's one right there. That was that was like yesterday, I think. That was a practice from yesterday right there. That's in our house.
Yeah, so you're still practicing, man. I mean, what were the gigs you were getting before COVID, and have you been getting any gigs throughout the COVID times as we're recording this?
We do have one coming up. We do have one coming up in Jonesboro, Georgia on November 14th. It's going to be the Cogs of War Georgia Chapters show. It's going to be at Furnace 41. And we're going to be playing with some really great bands. I know that our good friends at Defy the Tyrants are going to be there. Actus Rectus, Craigslist Punks, and there was one more that I can't remember.
I'm going to pull it up real quick.
Oh, perfect. So we have that set coming up, and I believe we're doing. There we go. And then I believe we're doing 45 minutes for that set. So we're actually going to be bringing in songs that we have done before, and then some brand new songs that nobody has ever heard of. So it's going to be a really, really great show. We're really excited for it.
Well, these kids and their technology, they have shared the screen, and as soon as they start talking, it will show up on the video as well. I see it. Actus Reus.
Defy the Tyrant, who's a great band out of Tallahassee. We love those guys. Dead Reckoning. We've actually played Blue Ridge with Dead Reckoning, if I remember correctly. Then you got us, Pandora Her Box, and then Craigslist Punks.
See, that's pretty cool. Now you've taught me this technology. Skype, I guess you can replace your background, and it gives you a quasi green screen. I know I've used that when I'm streaming video games. Hashtag Keys Dan Gaming. Yeah. Yeah, when I'm streaming video games, sometimes I'll take my background away, but now I have this background. Look at you replacing your background with your logo.
She was doing it all day earlier with me. She was like, "Which one should I use?"
Oh, that's fantastic. See, you kids, you said you took 40 years. That's still a kid to me. I'm 51. You kids.
I'm like actually a kid
Oh,
compared to the rest of you.
I'm over 40.
Yeah,
so-
I know. I never ask a lady her age. Always remember a woman's birthday, but forget her age.
I'm old.
There you go.
That'll keep you married forever and ever. So
Happy wife, happy life.
you better believe it. Oh, well, okay. I know that you're married, Jessica. Are you married, Mr. Tyler?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll see.
Is there a special someone, or are you currently footloose and fancy free?
It's Texas and Florida are two different worlds. So
All
I
right.
don't know if he slow groans.
All right. I mean, hey, a lot of guys get into guitar to impress the ladies. Is that why you started it?
that's I don't remember why I started playing. I know my grandpa was the guy who showed me how to play guitar. He made a career out of the military. He was in the Army.
Yeah.
He was like a drill instructor in the Army for a very long time. And my whole life he was a guitarist. And I didn't know that he didn't start playing guitar until his 50s. He was kind of old my whole life, and because I thought he just played forever. And I just thought it was the coolest thing for him to come over. Or he lived in Oklahoma. I lived in Houston.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing when he'd come down with the guitar and he could play any, Beatles song or CCR. And I was like, I want to do that. But I did pick up the bass for ladies, because there was that one girl back in high school who asked me to join her band.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Was that the one that you're always text messaging?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
All right. Any special someone in your life, Salem Priest?
Actually, yes. I have a boyfriend that I've been with for a little over a year now, and I'm actually sitting in his apartment doing this interview while he's outside. I've been telling him to keep quiet this whole time. But he and I have been together for a little over a year now. He goes to school down here in South Florida. We met on a dating app. So it's been a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together.
What's he think about having a rock star girlfriend?
I don't really do. He's not super into screamo, but he still supports me, which is really nice. But I don't force him to listen to me, because he's more into Elton John and Pink Floyd. He's really into Pink Floyd.
Floyd is.
Yeah, who wouldn't be?
Oh yeah, no, Floyd is awesome. I love The Wall. The Wall is amazing. He's more of a Dark Side of the Moon kind of guy, though.
Oh, okay, that's two different Floyds right there.
Yeah, two very different Floyds.
No, I can see you screaming out something from The Wall for sure.
Yes, I would absolutely do Brick in the Wall Part 2.
Just starting out with the scream.
What I want to hit too.
Please.
What I want to hit first is I want to do some Dio first. That's on my wish list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What song to do?
Yeah, favorite Dio.
I'm kind of in between either Holy Diver or Rainbow in the Dark.
Yeah, a lot of people have done Holy Diver. Rainbow in the Dark would be.
Rainbow in the Dark's not really done that much, but I feel like we would probably do it pretty killer. My dad was obsessed with Dio growing up himself, and my dad was the one who actually introduced me into a lot of the music that I perform and sing now. My sister was the one who taught me how to sing, but my dad is the one who kind of molded me into a little rock star. And so anytime I play a show, he's usually the first one in the mosh pit, starting the whole mosh pit, which I think is very concerning given his age.
Well,
and
singing
this is why I got convinced them to do a Fugazi cover.
That's not true at all.
Really?
Let's do a Fugazi cover.
Salem, you in?
I mean, if I have to be.
Okay, can you hold your own against Dio with the holding the notes and the la, the trill and the.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Just like Freddie Mercury, I have a 5-range octave.
What?
And yes.
How do you clock that? How was that clocked for you?
So again, my sister started teaching me how to sing when I was about 7 years old. The way she taught me how to sing was she kind of pushed me against the wall, then she punched me in the stomach, and she told me to sing. It wasn't pleasant, but
Okay. That's an interesting teaching
was,
style.
Yeah. It's how siblings work. That's just how siblings work. But she actually did a lot. She was in a band. She was the lead singer and lead guitarist of her band known as Goddess of Chaos, and she wanted to be a rock star. And she wanted to teach me how to sing so I could do like duets and stuff with her. And then she got away from rock music and started going into more musical theater. So she trained me to do musical theater. And with that, you have to hit a range of different notes. Now, my sister, who is also a phenomenal singer, like phenomenal, she was my biggest competition, and I always wanted to be better than her. So I would always practice by myself, and try to do songs that she was doing and try to mimic her, and then ultimately make those songs a little better so I could just be better at her than something. And ultimately, it led me into learning how to control a 5-range octave, where I can hit my highest notes is like mezzo soprano notes, which are very high notes. So I've been training for probably like 13 years on how to sing, and I've gotten professional lessons. I did musical theater myself, so I'm able to hold a wide range for extended periods of time. So I do not feel threatened by Dio whatsoever.
Okay.
Jeez.
So how did your what ended up happening with your sister? Did she open up the punch you in the gut singing school?
No. My sister actually, she's an awesome person. When we were younger, we would like constantly fight and like fist fight and everything like that. But now, like that, she and I are adults. You know, she's an amazing inspiration for me to look up to. Just as a person, I love my sister to death. She's a wonderful human being, and she also streams video games just like you.
Hey, well, is she on Twitch? I'm Keys Dan on Twitch.
Is.
Oh, okay.
She is.
Well, we'll become friends. So I'll find her on Twitch, and maybe we can do a Fortnite together.
Oh my God, she would love to do that. She loves Fortnite.
Hey, I've won the battle a few times. Yay!
Okay. But she stopped doing music. She did musical theater in her high school, and she got a lot of awards for that, especially for her singing talent. She was pretty renowned amongst her local high schools and everything like that for her talents and abilities. She went to college. She kind of got a little too time consumed, but she still loves doing theater. I know that she's trying to look for like little theater gigs that she can do up in Jacksonville while working. But with COVID-19 and everything, it makes it really hard.
Yeah.
But she's definitely, because of the competitiveness between her and I, she was definitely one of my bigger inspirations growing up. Like I always wanted to be like my older sister, and to this day I still regard her as the better singer amongst the two of us. But even she'll say otherwise. My family and other people will say otherwise, that I'm just like, nah, my sister's still better than I am. Like I can't take that away from her.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you had some family relationship that helped you along the way. I mean, what does she think about your where you've taken her lessons, her singing lessons?
She thinks I've done some pretty incredible stuff. She definitely has commended me for how far I am getting with the band and everything like that. And every time I show her new material, especially Screamo, because that's like really new for me and it's really new for everybody else in my family, my sister's like, how are you even doing that? Like that sounds like it hurts. And I'm like, actually, no, I feel fine when I do it. So, she and I have definitely bonded over our growing experience together, and I definitely know for a fact that she and my family members are very proud of me for what I'm doing with the band. So I love their support. It's nonstop, and I love my family and how they're supporting me with this.
It is quite impressive. Now, when you do this show, Pandora and Her Box, Jessica and Tyler, when you do this show coming up in November, are you going to do your 14 original songs, or is it covers, or is it a combination of the two of them?
It's all original, all OG material. Yeah. I don't know if you all noticed that, like, Dan and Salem were laughing at some points because this little dipshit here spit in my freaking water right before I would take a swig.
Well, that's how you keep the water. I had a sibling myself when I was growing up, and whenever I would offer, hey, can I get a sip of your Pepsi Cola? Yeah, sure. And then he would sneeze into my Pepsi every single time. Oh no, you can go ahead and keep that. And that's what he wanted the whole time. Ha ha ha
You see,
ha.
I got a worse one. I got a worse one than that. My little brother, when I was like really little, I think he was maybe 4 years old. I guess I did something really mean to him, and so he came back with a chocolate milk, and he's like, "Here, I got you a chocolate milk just to make you feel better. I'm sorry for what I did." And I said, "Thank you," and I drank it, and then he kind of walked away snickering. My sister's like, "What are you laughing at?" My brother looked her dead in the eye, and he's like, "I peed in that chocolate milk."
Oh my. Yes. You one up to me. No, he never peed in my soda.
He was a little devious.
Yikes. Okay.
That's like the yellow ice during winter time.
Yeah.
I've never tried.
Snow in winter.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of my iced tea and contemplate on that. Tyler, any siblings, any sibling rivalry stories you got as we wind this thing down?
I mean, I have a little sister. She's not like necessarily musical. She goes to Texas State University. She's actually about to graduate in a few weeks. So I have to go see that, which I want to do because I could never finish college. I went to a university called Sam Houston State in Huntsville, Texas. Technically, that's where I was living before I came here. So that's kind of like within the Houston area. So I'll just say Houston. But I was only there for 3 semesters. It didn't really work out for me. And I'm actually really happy to be here, even though I'm soaking wet on Jess's couch.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Hey, I've heard that Jessica Pandora will get you soaking wet.
That is true.
Oh yes, she will. Yes, she will.
So if you go and see a Pandora and Her Box show, you will leave soaking wet.
That is true.
You'll be leaving wet. You'll be leaving happy. You will be complete.
I
Your
suspect
face will be melted off.
I want to see all that on a poster coming up, on several posters as part of your advertising. All those little taglines, Pandora and Her Box. Man, I've had a blast talking to you. I know I've been taking some of your time. It's getting a little later at night, but Tyler, I went to college a bunch of times myself. Never really got. Well, I mean, I went mostly. For certain things that I wanted. I went to radio school with broadcasting, psychology, got that. I went to paramedic school, got that. And, so, yeah, the college has its place, but you could learn things in other places, for sure. School of life, for sure. And I know that man, I'm so glad that there is a Pandora and Her Box, the whole team that comes together and forms this group and makes beautiful music. And I know beautiful can be subjective because it's the kind of music. To some people, the kind of music that you play could be a little rough, but I enjoyed it, man. I'm enjoying a little Pandora in Her Box and the screaming sounds of Salem Priest with the backing group of Jessica Pandora and Blondie and Chris. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I definitely don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I want to catch up with you over time, and tell the people any new projects that they have to look out for. I know you have this show that's coming up, and I'm guessing you have a merch table that you sell merch at after the show. Can they look forward to that as well? I'm seeing the head nodding, but I need to hear some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are currently working on the 3-song EP. I believe Jess sent you a sample of Our Father, which is going to be the highlight of that EP. But we're also slowly working towards a full-length album. We are going to have a lot of merch for our upcoming show, and we All of us are going to be at the merch table to answer any questions from anybody or just talk to people, take photos, everything like that. Just kind of engage with the cogs that we are also, all of us are members of the Cogs of War. So it'll be really nice to engage with our Georgia chapter. And yeah, Jess?
What's the Cogs of War?
Cogs of War is it's a mosh pit team, and they're really amazing. It's more of a family than anything. When you see the Cogs of War symbol on T-shirts at any show you go to, rest assured you're going to be pretty safe in that mosh pit. They don't let any BS happen. They love a good, clean, hard mosh pit, but they ain't going to let people just go around trying to beat on each other. They ain't going to let any stigma dictate anything in a pit. They've actually had my back at one show once, and it's kind of how I learned about them. And they're really great people. I have a lot of very close friends with them, and they're very. It's a large organization, but you'll see them at a lot of the major festivals. They're really good people to have around you, especially when you have a mosh pit.
So kind of a security for a mosh pit. So kind of.
They're more of like a rule enforcer for the pit. Like there's some unspoken rules of the pit, and they're the ones who enforce it. They're the ones who make sure that people can enjoy the mosh pit while staying safe. If there are any threats to anybody in the surrounding area or anybody at the show, they're usually the ones who try to confront it or get the appropriate personnel to confront it. They're really just a whole group of amazing individuals who are super selfless and are very kind and considerate to their neighbor. They're really, really great people.
Well, I know mosh pits can be dangerous. One of the last ones that I was at the University of Florida, and years ago. But I remember there was like two football player type guys, and they each took a shot of whatever on different corners of the pit, and they went at each other full force, hit their heads, and both knocked each other out in the middle of the pit. So this is something that
Cogs the brand with each other.
What's that?
But they look at each other. I mean, their saying says it all. The music brings us together. The family keeps us together.
Okay.
It's a great organization. So, I mean, huge shout out to the Cogs of War, and especially with the show, Cogs of War, Georgia. So, it's just such a wonderful group of people. Almost every show we go to at this point, they're there.
Excellent.
And it's great seeing family. It's like a reunion. So,
all right, Mr. Blondie, tell the people how to get a hold of Pandora and Her Box. What are the different areas, the avenues?
He wanted to know for sure.
What? Who designed that cool website?
Blondie?
He's not the biggest Facebook person.
I need to be a bit more social.
You need to get a little more social, man.
All right. Who knows how to get a hold of this band?
Damn.
You can contact us on our website. You can contact us via Facebook. You can contact us via Instagram, or you can find Jess's phone number on Craigslist. She's probably selling herself or something.
Really?
So those are the best ways to contact us. Jess, either contact 434 Management or contact Jess specifically if you're looking to book for any shows, any interviews, anything like that. They would be the best people to contact in regards to that. Contact me if you're just looking for a good time.
All right. Hey, now amazingly, with the story of Pandora's Box, if you look up Pandora and Her Box, you Google that, it's pretty much going to come up with all of your links. That's pretty cool. Having that kind of a story behind it.
PaHBox, PaHBox.
That's even better. That's a hashtag.
Almost everything too.
Yes.
But one more quick thing, I did want to bring this up.
Please.
Our drummer, I know you asked earlier. I never got to finish talking about it. Is how we met Chris,
please,
our drummer, and I met Chris at a suicide prevention walk. I met him and his wonderful lady Kelly, and when I bumped into them, we just hit it off immediately. We just got along so good. And the funny thing is, at that moment, I didn't have a drummer for the band, and I had a drum set. Well, he just sold his drum set, and we're talking about. I'm like, well, I didn't hear anything from him. I was like, well, I got a drum set if you want to play, and that's how we got Chris in. And Chris was probably one of the best moves this band's ever made, next to Salem and this guy. Eventually, they're going to fire me, I'm sure. But
probably. I mean, we already gained up on you to play like more heavy metal music, so it's only a matter of time.
It's going to happen.
Well, all right.
It's on the name at least. So, I must drink.
Now, you were at a suicide prevention. Did you have anybody that was a victim of suicide that you were walking for specifically?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Goodness.
Yeah, you have that. You have my late wife. We to this day don't know if it was suicide or something else. So we had that happened in 2014. And we know a few people, and I know Salem has had a rough time too. So it's something. There's also, like I said, there's a stigma behind mental health, or should I say mental health awareness.
Yes.
And people have a very hard time finding and seeking help out of fear. And it's something they shouldn't have to do.
Well, I see that's...
It's something that, the band supports me in the area of suicide prevention, mental health awareness. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I've talked too much.
No, I'm glad you have each other. It's something we need to take care of each other for sure. Take care of yourself. Make sure that yourself is in order, and then once that happens, hey, try to take care of somebody else. And that's what you're doing in this band. Sometimes it's hard to have a band that comes together, but it seems like you have a band that's come together and is making beautiful art together.
It's a family for sure.
Oh, that you see, you've chosen a family. What's that?
I'll get back to you.
Oh, sibling rivalry. So, all right. So, how when are you going back up to Tallahassee, or is that something that you just get together when it's time to perform? Do you do any practicing together? How do you?
We do. I'm usually the one who takes off work because it's easier for me to take off work than all three of them to do it. So usually I'm the one who goes up to Jacksonville, and I'll spend like a good week there, and we will just do nonstop practicing like over and over and over again. And I do plan on coming back up to do nonstop practicing, but for the most part, it's them finishing the material, sending it down to me, and I'll take that material, I'll put the lyrics to it, I'll practice on my own so I can get the timing of it correct. And then every so often we'll do like a video call with each other, and I'll be like, hey, here's some notes from what you guys gave me, let's try doing XYZ. And then they'll try to implement it, send it back to me. So it's a lot of sending to and from.
Hey, this internet can be used for good. I've heard of musicians that have collaborated with people all over the world, even people that they haven't even met. There was one guy that I talked to in Australia. His drummer is in the Middle East and his guitarist is in Germany, and they've never met face to face, but they lay down all their little pieces of tracks and then mix it all down in Australia and end up making beautiful music. So that's something that can be done. But for people that don't know geography, from Fort Lauderdale to Tallahassee, what, 7-8 hours?
Well, they live up in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville,
Fort Lauderdale to Jacksonville is about 5 hours.
5 hours, yeah. Yeah, so that's a nice clip. Yeah. All right. Well, I usually finish these things off if nobody has any other avenues they want to explore. I finish these things off with last words for the people. Since I have three of you, I'll do some last words with each one of you. Tyler, the one who probably maybe has spoken the least, but definitely had some good words about bass and not settling for bass. But Tyler, Blondie, Wright, give the people some last words. It could be words that you live by, words of advice, or just whatever pops into your head. Tyler, Blondie, Wright, last words for the people.
I think I'm going to bleach my hair pretty soon. That way I can really be Blondie. I thought about that today, actually.
Do
I think I
it.
need to my nickname.
Do it.
Yeah, and world peace.
All right, and then the front girl. I'm gonna save Jessica for last since her name's on the band. Salem Priest, the front girl, the vocalist, the Ronnie James Dio impersonator of sorts, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm waiting for for those covers, but certainly.
Rainbow in the Dark cover. It'll happen.
But last words for the people.
My last words for the night. Ooh. Ye, and I cannot express this enough. Ha.
I approve.
All right, Jessica Pandora. Jessica, the last words for the people.
Look at this. He's getting out of the picture frame. I get the whole gosh to myself.
You sat in the wet spot.
I sat in a wet spot. He said. So anyway, all I want to say is thank you, Dan, for having us on. I think this was a fun interview. We had a great time, all of us. And the only things I have to say is that life is too short to live pissed off or offended. Take the mask off. Live your life. Just take it off. Throw it away. And have a great life. So thank you so much for your time, Dan, and for everybody who listens to this very long interview of us crazy people. So, thank you.
Well, there you have it, party people. Pandora and Her Box. Well, at least 3/4 or 75% of Pandora and Her Box. Yeah, they're a 4-piece band out of Jacksonville, Florida. Fantastic. And it's making me a little bit homesick. I'm here in Central Arkansas now, but I've eaten a lot of dirt there in Jacksonville. I've done some parties, some weddings there, and that's a nice place to be. So, and they're not just sticking around the Jacksonville area. They're taking the Pandora and Her Box music all over this country of ours. I didn't get into it. Have they been out of the country? I'm sure we'll talk again. But find them everywhere. You can Google Pandora and Her Box, and even better is the PaHBox. So hashtag PaHBox, or even just look up PaHBox, and you'll come up with at least their Facebook, Instagram, and band mix, and the Reverb Nation using that PaHBox suffix. So Facebook.com/PaHBox, Instagram, PaHBox, band mix, PaHBox, Reverb Nation, PaHBox. And from there, you can pretty much find everything. And they do have a website, Pandora her-box.square.site. But if you look up Pandora and Her Box, I think that's going to come up right on top. It'll give you a little idea of who they are. Man, I had a good time chit-chatting with Jessica Pandora, Salem Priest, and Tyler, soon to be even blonder, Blondie Wright, the bassist. Well, and I know Chris Moore had to work. The drummer, the backbeat. Hopefully I get him on a future podcast coming up real soon. Yeah, I'm stoked. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of the What Makes You Famous podcast. Now, if you, yes, you, I'm turning my attention to you, would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.